Good morning, I'm Tricia Bear from the Culinary Command Post, and today I'm going to show you how to make chicken and cheese stuffed crescent rolls. And I wanted to show you just a couple things. I like using the garlic butter from Walmart. Usually you'll find it where the homemade bread is. Anyway, it's 4 gallons of garlic butter, and it's about $21, but it'll last a long time, and you don't have to put it in the fridge because it's shelf stable, so you can leave it out of the fridge. And then we're going to use our creamy Daisy cream ranch dip to dip the crescent rolls in. This is my all-time favorite dip. And the other ingredients we're going to use, I got a large pack of spinach, which it looks like a lot, but it's going to reduce down once we cook it. And I'm going to cook it with this half a cup of onions that I diced up. And then we have 2 cans of your Grands crescent rolls, the butter flake kind. The Grands get bigger, so you want to get a bigger crescent roll so you'll have plenty of room to stuff it with filling. And then instead of the 2 small cans of cream of chicken soup, we're going to use the large can, 2 cups of regular milk, smoked Gouda, which you can use any cheese you want. We're going to use about a cup of smoked Gouda and then a cup of Tillamook cheddar cheese. I don't like using the bag cheese because it doesn't taste as good, and you can shred a block of cheese in a couple minutes if you have a KitchenAid mixer with the attachment on the front. And then we have 1 tablespoon of kicking chicken as the seasoning for the chicken, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and then salt and pepper. And then we have our 8 chicken breasts over here that I cut in half because I'm going to be cooking them on the stove and I don't want them to not get done or on the inside. So I cut the chicken breast in half, and then I also marinated the chicken breasts in buttermilk and then also the garlic butter. So you can marinate them up to 24 hours. You can just marinate them for 2 hours if that's all the time you have, but you don't want to really marinate them more than 24 hours because it's going to change the texture of the chicken. So I've had them marinated for about 20 hours in the garlic butter and the buttermilk. And so now I'm just going to add seasoning to it. So we're going to add our Italian seasoning. And then we're going to add our 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, which you can also use minced garlic if you want. That's just 1 tablespoon. Alright, and then we have 1 tablespoon of the kicking chicken. It just gives it a little bit of spice, but not too much, especially if you don't like hot food. You just want to use a little bit of this. So we're going to put that on our chicken as well. But when you use the buttermilk and the garlic butter, it's going to already change the flavor of it. So that's a good marinade to use, buttermilk and garlic butter, melted garlic butter by the way. And then I'm going to use my meat tenderizer to punch holes in the chicken before I actually put it in the skillet. And that's another way to help tenderize it. Once we do get the chicken to 165 degrees on the stove, then we're gonna check it, of course, and make sure it's 165 degrees with our thermometer. And then we're going to shred the chicken with 2 forks. And that's going to be the meat that goes inside of our crescent rolls. And I like this little meat tenderizer because it actually pokes holes in it easier. It's better than just using one of those meat pounders. Alright, so I have holes poked into the chicken. And then I'm going to saute it on the stove, and I've got 2 tablespoons of olive oil that I'm going to use to saute it with. And before I actually saute the chicken, I'm going to go ahead and cook up the onions in the same skillet before I put in the chicken. So we're going to do that first. And then you don't have to, but I'm going to go ahead and cook the milk and the soup together in a saucepan on the stove. And as we're cooking our onions, we're going to go ahead and cook our spinach as well. So let me get that ready. Okay, so we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of our olive oil. Got some right here we're going to use. Now, if you're going to cook with butter instead of the oil, I would recommend putting a little bit of olive oil just so your butter is more likely to burn. So go ahead and use butter with olive oil. Butter gives it a good flavor, but you want the olive oil so that your butter doesn't burn. So we're going to use a miniature version. They do have these for $1 something at Walmart of that garlic butter spread, sorry. Alright, so we're going to get our skillet hot at medium-high heat. And as we're waiting for that to get hot, I'm going to go ahead and warm up my soup, my 2 cans of soup, or in my situation I'm using a large can of soup with our milk. Alright, so there's our 2 cups of milk. And then we're also going to put in our soup. Alright, so we're just waiting for our butter to melt and get hot. And then we're going to put in our onions, and we just wanted them to be translucent. And then we're going to add our spinach. The spinach doesn't take a few minutes to cook, so I'm going to add it last. And that's going to be part of our stuffing for the crescent rolls. I do have our oven preheating at 375 degrees. And on your crescent rolls, you do want to have them chilled, so make sure they stay in the refrigerator until right before you use them. Okay, and then there's my 8 chicken breasts that I cut in half. I marinated it in garlic butter and also buttermilk. And just remember, on the marination of buttermilk, you don't want to marinate it for longer than 24 hours because it changes the protein texture in the chicken. Alright, that's getting hot, and then I'm going to mix my soup up with the milk. It's cream of chicken soup. And then I'm going to add some salt and pepper. You can add a teaspoon of salt and pepper. I don't use a lot of salt because the cheese is going to have salt in it, so I just use a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. You can put it on the soup or you can put it on the chicken, either way. Alright, our butter's melted with our olive oil. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the onions first. And this is about 1/2 cup or 4 ounces of onions that I chopped up. All right. And you can turn your onions on medium-high heat. And I'm going to move our soup to this burner because the pans are too big to fit on the same side. So move this over. I did get a Dutch oven pan on my way to Tennessee, which is a iron skillet or iron saucepan. And it's got a lid on it, so it's really heavy duty. So when I do the cordon chicken bleu, or chicken cordon bleu I should say, it's going to help cook it easier because it's a very thick bottom saucepan. Alright. Why is that smoking? Alright, so basically I'm just cooking my onions a couple minutes in the garlic butter and then also the olive oil. So about a tablespoon of each of those. Once that gets done, I'm going to go ahead and cook my spinach in it as well. I like smoked Gouda and Tillamook block cheese that you grate, but you can use any cheese you want. Green cheddar is a good cheese to use. And I got this new cheese yesterday called Wisconsin baked cheese. It's already baked. So we're going to actually put that on top of our cordon bleu with the Swiss cheese. Just putting a handful of cheese in our soup. Alright, so we're just trying to get our onions slightly translucent. So we're going to go ahead and put in our spinach. And you can chop up the spinach if you want. It's going to reduce down anyway and go in our crescent rolls. So it's partially chopped now, but you start out with a whole big pan of it and then you end up with a quarter pan after it cooks. I've already washed the spinach and I've already washed the chicken also. If you ever need to make a cheese sauce, you can use milk in the cream of chicken soup, or you can use heavy cream in the cream of chicken soup and add a handful of cheese, and that's how you make real quick cheese sauce. Try a little bit of it. Yeah. So if you were just going to make a cheese sauce with that, I would use 2 cups of milk, 1 small can of cream of chicken soup, and then add in maybe 3/4 cup of grated cheese. And that way you're going to get the more of the cheese sauce flavor. Okay, so when we start cooking our chicken, it only needs about 12 to 14 minutes to cook. So we'll cook it about 6 or 7 minutes on one side and then turn it over and cook it on the other side. And then we'll stick our thermostat in it and make sure it's at least 165 degrees. Now, if you don't like the stems of the spinach, you can tear those off. I think I will do that once it gets done, just because I don't necessarily like the stems in there. Now, when you're doing mushrooms, the stems are fine, but I'm going to go ahead and pinch off the stems when it cools in a minute. And all you're trying to do is saute the spinach with the onions. And see how much it reduced down? It reduced down a quarter of what we had a minute ago. Cook it just a little bit longer. I don't like fresh spinach by itself. It's got to be cooked for me to like it, so. Alright, and then you just put it in a bowl, and we're going to use that same skillet to cook our chicken. Alright. So now we're going to add oil back in with garlic butter into our skillet. Alright, so that's our spinach. We're going to add some more garlic butter. About a tablespoon. Now if you make clarified butter, which is where you make the butter and you separate the milk solids from the butter, then that's not going to burn as easy. So that's why chefs do clarified butter, so their food doesn't burn. And it's just basically separating the milk solids from the butter. Alright, we're going to turn it down to medium-high heat. Switch out my gloves, and then we're going to cook it for about 6 or 7 minutes on one side. While my chicken's cooking, I'm going to add a few slices of pre-cooked bacon in there to give it an extra little bit of flavor. Alright, so we got it, chicken breast cut in half, marinated in buttermilk and garlic butter, and then we used our meat tenderizer to poke holes in it. So we're going to lay it flat in the skillet. And I've got the heat on medium heat. And once we get done cooking the chicken, we're going to shred it with 2 forks. Do one more. Alright, so I got my chicken cooking. We're going to cook it for about 6 minutes on one side, or 6 to 7 minutes on the other side. I'm going to say 6 just because each stove's different and you don't want it to burn. Alright, let me get the bacon. I'm going to stick it in the microwave. Hang on. The bacon's missing. Here it is. Ta-da! Here it is. So this is pre-cooked bacon, by the way, so we're gonna put it in the microwave just for a few minutes, just to give it extra flavor. We're going to use 8 on this one, and then we'll use 8 on our cordon bleu also. Alright. You want to make sure your chicken's about medium to medium-high heat, depending on your stove. And I do have the oven preheating at 375 degrees. Alright, so we're going to cook our bacon in the microwave, and it's already pre-cooked. Actually, this one's you just have to microwave it for 2 to 3 minutes and you have bacon already cooked. I usually cook bacon in the oven, but we're going to use this today and cook it in the microwave. sticking in there for some reason. These make really good hors d'oeuvres or just a snack for lunch or something you could send your kid to school with. Super easy. If you like stuffed pizza pockets, you'll love these. Alright, so I've got them all laid out flat, and I'm going to put them in the microwave for about 2 minutes and see if that's going to work, and then we'll put them in another minute if we need to. Alright, and I'm using the black label Hormel black label bacon is what I'm using. Be sure to stir your soup so it don't scorch. Now I usually put a paper towel over my bacon so it doesn't get your microwave dirty. And you can also buy those plastic domes to go over your food so you don't have to clean the microwave every day. Alright, so that's my timer for the first group of chicken. We're going to turn it over. And we'll use this. See how it's lightly brown? Alright, we're going to leave it on 7 minutes on the other one. On the other side, just to get it a little bit more brown. See, and we're just getting it lightly brown. But you just have to remember, if you get those thick chicken breasts, to make sure that you cut them in half if you're trying to do this. It'll just cook better that way, and it won't dry out the chicken. Alright, we're going to do 7 minutes on that side, and I may go back on the other side for a couple more minutes when I get done. We'll do 7 minutes. Okay, and on the crescent rolls, I'm going to use this Good Cook pan. It's for cookies also. It's got some kind of moisture barrier built into it. So I'm going to use it for my crescent rolls. And I'm going to lightly spray it. And you don't want to cook it too long because it'll dry it out. So we'll give it a couple more minutes on that side while we're doing our crescent rolls. And then we'll check it again to make sure it's done. Let's do 3 minutes on that side. Okay, now let me see if I can get that open without gloves on. I don't know why, but these ain't opening easy. There, got it open. Okay, so we're gonna, once we get ready to fill them, we're gonna put our filling on the wide end of the crescent roll. It's already cut. Just gotta find the end to it. Oh, here it is, I think. It's not cooperating. Take the, no. There you go. Now that's why I said leave them in the, leave the crescent rolls in the fridge because they're going to get soft if you don't. Like that. And then they got perforations on them, so just pull them apart. And then we're going to line them up on how we're going to roll them. Just like that. I'm trying to keep them like at least half an inch apart, because these are the big grands, so they're going to be bigger than the other ones. So we're going to see how many we can get on this one pan. Probably can get 5 on one pan, on this type of pan. So we're going to cook some of them on this type of pan, and then we're going to cook the rest of them on just a regular sheet pan. Okay, so we're going to get our bacon out and add it to our bowl of chicken while we're waiting for the last batch of chicken to get done. Alright, so then we're going to cut it up and put it into our bowl of chicken that we're going to shred. Okay, so we've got our chicken done in the skillet. We cooked it until it was 165 degrees. We cooked our bacon in the microwave for about 2 to 3 minutes or more if you like crispier bacon. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to shred the chicken with the bacon. And then we'll be ready to assemble our crescent rolls. We're going to go ahead and put our spinach and our onions in our soup mixture. I'm going to drain a little bit of the water off. Okay, so I'm putting in the spinach and onions. You really can put any kind of vegetable you want in it. I do like spinach. Spinach does cause kidney stones, but I still like to eat it. Okay, so we got our soup mixture. And I'm going to put the cheese separate from the soup mixture. And then we're going to shred our chicken. And you use 2 forks to do that with. So we're going to turn them backwards just like this. And we're just going to shred the chicken. Okay, so I've just finished shredding the chicken. And we're going to mix it with our soup. I say soup, it's basically the milk and the spinach and the onions. And the reason I'm mixing it with the sauce is because I want it to be thicker and stay in those crescent rolls. And this makes quite a bit of filling, so you may have extra filling that you can put in the freezer and then use it for something else. Or more crescent rolls later on. Alright, so that's about 2 tablespoons. I'm going to take a little bit back because you don't want it to come out of the crescent roll. So I'm going to fill them all at the end, and then I'm going to go back and roll them at one time. So like a heaping teaspoon of mixture is what you want in there. Roll them from the wide side end first and gently roll them. You want to kind of roll them tight as you can get them. Yeah, one tablespoon of filling's plenty. And you want to make sure they're seam side down when you put them in the oven. And you only have to put them in the oven, I think about 12 to 15 minutes, depending on your oven, till they're golden brown. Roll them as tight as you can. I want to say the crescent rolls have 1,000 layers to them if you do them like the chefs do in school. Okay, so that's all the crescent dough we have. And we still have a whole bunch of filling. So we're going to put that in the freezer and use that down the road. Okay, we're going to put them in that 375-degree oven for about 12 to 14 minutes, depending on your oven. So you'll just have to keep checking them until they get golden brown. Everything inside is cooked, so you don't have to worry about that. You just want to make sure that the crescent rolls are golden brown. Okay, so we're going to stick them in our oven for about 12 to 14 minutes, depending on your oven, until they're golden brown. We're going to see if we can fit this one on the side. No, not really. So we'll have to cook them separate. Those first. Alright, so we're going to set it for 12 minutes. And start. Alright.
And this is the
chicken and cheese stuffed croissant.
Stuffed croissant.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try one of those and we'll go from there.
Which one do you want to try? This one looks like it's got cheese in it.
Yeah. Give me that one. It doesn't matter.
That
one's fine too.
It's got little cheese.
They all got cheese on it.
So it's a chicken and cheese croissant with spinach in it, milk, cream of chicken soup, and I did put a little bacon in it too, about 8 strips.
Yeah, it's good. Soft, and very tasty. And I love spinach. Spinach is so good.
I do too, but it causes kidney stones. But I still eat it.
Spinach guy.
Oh, Popeye?
Popeye.
Yeah, Popeye the cartoon.
Yeah. When I eat spinach, I get. But he has muscles here. I got muscle here. Yeah. It's really good. All right. Every Sunday, 2 p.m., we got a new dish cooking up for you. Hit the subscribe button, like and share, and we'll see you next Sunday.